573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome in to Wednesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. It's Andy Humphrey and Brendan Schaefer here. So, Mizzou hoops last night did not give you what you wanted, I'm sure, unless for some reason you're listening to us and you're an Alabama fan. In that case, kudos to you, I guess.
Yeah, good on you, I suppose.
Things mostly going well on that front. But for Mizzou's front, look, maybe they weren't going to win the game anyway, but at least look a little bit better in it, right? I guess.
Yeah, a little bit, a lot, either way.
We'll dive in to how the blowout happened, what we think afterwards here in a few minutes. And today, look, we'll ask straight up because after Mizzou's next game, they'll be halfway through the conference season. What % chance would you put on Mizzou right now to make the NCAA tournament? 14-7, 4-4 in the SEC right now. Brendan is questioning life.
I am trying to think of how pessimistic I guess I'll be with that number when we play this game. But last night was disappointing, so we'll dive into it.
So give us your thoughts on that, your percentages of what you would say right now is their chance of making the big dance, 875-KTGR. We'll also run through our top 5, bottom 5 head coaches. Might even include the ones that just got hired. Who knows? So give us your thoughts on who should be in the top 5 or bottom 5 of NFL head coaches. And Eric Bieniemy was introduced today as the Chiefs' next offensive coordinator. It's hard to say new because he's kind of new, but he's been their OC before. Did he hint at a Kelsey return in a response to a question that he had in this Zoom presser that he had with local reporters there? We'll hear that audio and get our thoughts in on it at 875-KTGR. You can call or text us. We're live on YouTube right now, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. Subscribe if you don't already. You can catch every show here. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Towards the end of the first half, Alabama just turned on the Jets against Mizzou over in Tuscaloosa. Tide prevailed 90-64. Alabama shot really well, and Mizzou really did not. Big number, of course. Free throw shooting has not been great from this team overall. Despite the last couple games, they were pretty good. But last night, major setback. 8 for 23 at the free throw line. Yes, that's the free throw line, not the three-point line, which would have been decent. But they were not great from the three-point line either, 4 for 21. Mizzou drops to 4-4 in the SEC. And 14-7 overall. Their next game against Mississippi State in the afternoon on Saturday. Tips off at 2:30. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock right here on KTGR as the Tigers try to shake off that bad loss on the road. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this 28th day of January, 2025. Give us a call or a text at 573-875-KTGR. We do this all the time in the Mizzou world, it seems. Every single basketball game is a referendum on the season, and it shouldn't be. But if you really wanted to do a closing statement on what the game meant for Mizzou, I have one. Tell me what you think of it. Last night's loss very clearly defined the ceiling for me.
Defined the ceiling?
Yes.
In what way?
It told me exactly how far this team can probably go against the legit teams. Put them up against the legit ones, and this is typically what you're going to get. Now, look, hasn't happened every game. They picked off Florida. They picked off Auburn in a couple of home games. I'll say, though, that's with several guys firing on all cylinders and really just everybody maximizing their role to the nth degree. And then when one piece falls out of place, which last night it wasn't just one piece, it was several. But even then, if they had improved the free throw shooting to something like, I don't know, 17 of 23, which would have been a lot better. They still lose by at least 15 points. They had hit one or two more three-pointers. Fine, they're still losing by about 15 points. The last night, wheels fell off, but I also saw a team in Alabama that very clearly is setting their sights on Final Four, things like that, taking care of business, and Mizzou just having no way to be able to overcome that.
Yeah, like it's hard to diagnose for me if last night was more about Alabama or Missouri. I think both is the answer in certain aspects. Like, I do think it's even a little bit simplistic to say, well, if Mizzou makes 17 of 23 from the line, add that to their score and they lose by this. They were in that game in the first half. 21-21 was a score that existed in this basketball game. And then Bama goes on this run. And as this run is happening, Mizzou is putting up some of the most heinous field goal attempts I have ever seen in my life. Just not, it looked like YMCA, just kind of getting some cardio in and going through the motions of chucking it. They just didn't look like they were dialed on the shot attempts, not only from the 3-point range, which was paltry, but even like those mid-range twos. It just didn't seem like you were really dialed in for those. And I think even amidst that, if you make some of those free throw opportunities, you have Anthony Robinson going to the line for 3, air balls 1, short arms the next. You have Mark Mitchell going 1 for 8 in the game from the line. Just pitiful stuff. I feel like if they're making some of those first half free throws, I think it was 3 for 12 or something of that ilk as of the moment in the first half where I tweeted out and said if Mizzou was not so embarrassing at the line, they'd be in this game. You give me 8 of 12, which is still bad, or 9 of 12, which is solid during that stretch, and it's a 5-point game instead of an 11-point game. That's where I feel like, yes, Alabama still wins this game, don't get me wrong, but the way the game flows is different in that first half run for Bama if Missouri is able to connect with any level of respectability at the charity stripe. They still lose, don't get me wrong. That didn't alone cost them this game, but I think it plays out in a more competitive environment, Andy, if Missouri is hitting a requisite number of free throws in the first half.
Well, yeah, you could have some interesting sequences at the beginning of the second half, maybe a little more fight, maybe a little more,
there's a little more pressure on Bama in that instance, right?
You close the half a little bit better, things of that nature. No, I definitely see that. And then if one or two more threes drops in that didn't drop in, then maybe we're talking about having to split, like lengthen out possessions at the end or switching offense, defense, things like that. Alabama actually having to focus upon closing out the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it showed you for sure what rock bottom can look like when things just absolutely don't go your way. You get trounced by 26 against a team that is really good. The problem is, like, you're going to face now Mizzou, so teams that are similar to Alabama, maybe not all the way the same as far as metrics and things like that, but they're similar. You're going to face Arkansas twice. You're going to face Vanderbilt. You're going to face Texas A&M, Tennessee. Like, after Mississippi State, the easy half of the schedule, as crazy as it sounds, is done. You're about to hit the harder half.
Yeah.
And so, like, the fact that they put up that type of performance against a team that, look, the goal for Mizzou fans throughout this whole season is to be like, hey, let's win one of those games. Let's win a game that we're not expected to go and take care of business in. The fact that they kind of flopped in it is disheartening going into this.
Completely flopped.
Yeah.
And it's not like Alabama, they have aspirations of Final Four and they could get there. They haven't been playing like a team that you would project to the Final Four prior to last night.
No.
They've been struggling in some of their games against lesser competition. They've been losing some of their games against like-minded competition. On paper, this setup going in as one where, a la the Kentucky win on the road, you're a big underdog, but you haven't really seen that team on the other side perform to their expectations yet. And so just don't let tonight be the night that they start. It was tonight. Last night was maybe the night that Alabama can look back and say, hey, we righted the ship with this one because we handled an inferior opponent the way we ought to at our own gym. And, we'll see. I have a hard time with maybe the ceiling comment, Andy, because like the ceiling is that they're capable of beating a Kentucky and a Florida, almost regardless of location. They can beat an Auburn. The floor, though, definitely bottoms out a little bit if this is how they're going to play.
Maybe I should go back and define the ceiling myself of why it's defined to me. I don't see this being I don't see this as a team. Like if they sneak into the NCAA tournament, they can do that. I don't see them going any.
Not making a run.
Like no, too many things have to go right.
You could match up well with even a team, I would say, in the round of 64.
Right.
For you to find that very thin line, that path to like a second weekend at this point, feels like you would almost need a dream pod to be set up in to do it. And I don't see this team stringing together multiple games like where they're playing at their best in the month of March. I would agree with you.
And here's maybe the other part of that, because again, you bring up the Florida game and the Auburn. Did Florida play their best?
No, they didn't.
They
did not play well, and Kentucky played worse.
Right? Like, so that's also part of this, is that it's pretty clearly defined what Mizzou's team is, what their talent structure is, what their efficiency is, and it translates pretty similarly game by game, if you ask me. And a lot of their chances of pulling upsets in games like this is very dependent on how their opponent plays. If they have A minus, well, certainly any kind of A game, but even B to B minus game for your opponent of the caliber of Alabama is like in that tier, right?
Top 20 team.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet 16 threat at the least.
If Mizzou is going to beat those teams, a lot of things have to go right for them, and they have to maybe play a little above their head, which we don't see a whole lot of. And
you almost need the game to be at home unless the other team plays so ridiculously badly.
Yeah.
Kentucky, you did that. They were terrible that night.
Yeah, they need to have a game that plays down to that level, which is not all that much of a secret. That's usually how it goes. But college basketball is a game where you can have a whole lot of variance. And I just don't know if Mizzou's variance is enough to get you really excited about, okay, well, there's a whole lot of variance in the NCAA tournament. Can they make it happen there? Yeah, I just don't know.
Yeah, 8-10, 7-11. I'm going to stop like trying to beat my head against this brick wall and thinking that we're going to see them be anything other what they have been over a sample size now. And like I do, I think we have a sample size, even within just conference play. I think we've got a sample size now.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you kind of know where they're going to land. They're going to win some of those games that they get the benefit of the other team not playing their A game. They're going to lose some games to teams that are not as talented as them, but you just get in your own way a little bit too much if you're Missouri. They're going to do that at the free throw line. They're going to do that. They're going to do it in other ways, but they're definitely going to do it at the free throw line.
Well,
and the shot making, they're going to do that. They didn't shoot well last night. So
no,
there you go.
And they usually don't there, and it's fine. But the other part of it is, yeah, they've had blowout losses to Kansas and Illinois also, but that wasn't as close to defining the ceiling of what this team is to me, because they got Jaden Stone and Trent Pierce back, and we saw right away what those guys could mean. But now we're starting to see them, other teams get the film on what Mizzou's trying to do when they're at a little more full strength. And a team like Alabama was able to frustrate them a ton. And I mean, you saw it play out with the spacing. Like Mark Mitchell was hounded all night, and Mizzou just didn't have enough of an answer for it. Couldn't turn anywhere else as far as a main scoring threat, because they just didn't get enough scoring in the offseason to replace what they were losing. So that's kind of the way that this team is constructed at the moment. And that's, again, why you saw it play out in so many different possessions last night. Yeah, Mizzou just doesn't really have the guys to compete with that team when they are at close to their best, which I think Alabama was last night.
They were, and that part of it is like, it was the perfect storm where they played really well. They shot really well. Missouri did not play well. They didn't shoot well. They didn't play well at the line, which is just like, that's a free part of your game. That's not something that I was going to comment positively about. Like, even during Alabama's run, I felt like some of the rebounding stuff was better. Like the effort that I saw, the willingness to kind of grind for that loose ball or that 50-50 ball, I thought was solid, even if they didn't pick them all up. But that kind of waned too once the deficit started to set in. And there's flat-footedness where They don't even bother to put a hand up on a three. Like, nobody's there. Nobody even tries to close out. It's just like, yeah, hope he misses. And then sometimes they would. And then somebody just sneaks in between three black jerseys and picks up the rebound. Like, there was a couple of those where I was like, all right, even now on the effort front, I'm not loving what I'm seeing. It was just an altogether like an F performance because of some of the things with the shooting that kept you down. And once the Avalanche started, I feel like some of the other things started to go as well. They just didn't have the ability to kind of keep with it, and the morale had to be shot at that point.
And right now, like, Mizzou allows pretty decent percentages from 3-point land to their opponents. It seems that in a lot of games, their opponent has shot better than their average on the season from three when they're facing Mizzou. And a lot of the time you can chalk it up to, like, in any individual game, you can say, well, look, it's you and the ball, and shooting is shooting. And like, usually it's on the teams that you're facing when it comes to how much 3-point percentage you're giving up. But at some point it is on you to be better at defending the 3-point line. And I think we have enough data that Mizzou is not nearly good enough at doing that this year, because they're 298th in 3-point percentage allowed, according to Kempa.
Another thing that I was going to say, and you may disagree with it, but after the game, I saw the tweet.
Okay.
There are just things about Dennis Gates that exhaust me sometimes, where, like, I know he was kind of just joking, but after the game, the tweet from the Alabama reporter saying that Dennis Gates kind of ended his press conference going, well, no questions about Bediako. Like, oh, kind of surprised that nobody asked him about it. He lost by 26. Like, you gave your Bediako thoughts in full earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Nobody really, like, it just didn't feel applicable. And when the Missouri fan base is going through kind of mourning the ceiling of the season in a way, Andy, as I think you aptly have explained what you meant by it, I don't disagree with you one bit. That's kind of where the fan base is, and Coach Gates is ending the presser with, oh, no, Bediako questions. Like, it's just, and I compared it, and I think it's apt. He reminds me of Michael Scott from The Office at times, where he will just kind of say something that you go, well, how does that even, we all love Michael Scott, right? Everybody loves Michael Scott. But you hear things that he says sometimes, and you're thinking, now, Coach, why would you even feel the need to say that? It's not applicable. It's not relevant. It's not great for, like, the PR angle of it. It doesn't play well to the fan base. There are times where I feel as though he could take a little bit more. It's the stuff that's not the X's and O's. So I guess you could make an argument, and some would say, it doesn't matter that much. But it exhausts me, where it's like, man, we're all looking at the way that you guys went 8 for 23 from the line, but the tweet that I see getting blown up on Twitter is, a report that you wish you got more Bediako questions, as though we needed to hear more about how you love Charles Bediako, when Mizzou fans are like, dude, I don't want to see this guy playing. It's just kind of like, it's tone deaf to me.
Hey, all Dennis Gates can do is just try to put on a brave face, okay?
I get it, man. That's well put. I knew you would have something to add to the office discourse there.
That was it right there. No, it was poorly timed. I don't know why he felt the need to interject or try to maybe because he wanted to give the Alabama reporters a chance to ask him about it. But at that point, they're like, we just want to know about the game, and we don't want to ask you too many questions at this point, because we know that you just get, like, it is kind of odd sometimes in those pressers, and Mizzou does usually bring in the opposing coach to Mizzou's press room for a quick press conference with mostly the Mizzou media contingency.
Right.
And they're usually pretty short, because and even when, the other team plays well, like when the opponent comes in and does that, like, they're usually there to ask about the Mizzou angle from your perspective of what they saw. And that usually doesn't take a whole lot of time. And so, Dennis Gates should have known that he probably won't get all that many questions in general in those settings. But I mean, it does kind of put a bad taste in the mouth after you just watched your team get bludgeoned on both sides of the floor.
Yeah.
And
I don't want to make more of it than what it is, because I do see the discourse of people going, it's over, Dennis Gates era, they can't win with him. Like, I'm frustrated for sure with the way things are proceeding. Would I feel even more frustrated if I didn't know Jason Crow was around the horn? Yes, I would. But dude, he's who brought Jason Crow, so I am going to give Dennis Gates credit for that before I start talking about, job security. I'm going to see it play out this year. I'm going to hope that he can learn from some of the the perception that I have of some mistakes being made, or just, some of the shortfalls with this year's team, some of the roster building shortfalls, a lot of conversation out there that I think is insightful about, Anthony Robinson, for this team to be great, had to be this. And maybe Anthony Robinson was never destined to be this version of himself that we hadn't really seen prior. And his inability to kind of take that step is perhaps hampering the season. But like that's the stuff you got to be kind of prepared for in the way that you build a roster. I don't think it's a great thing that we can look back at a given season and say that one player not living up to expectations tanked the year. That's a flaw in the roster building. And so I would like to see that be a lesson learned moving forward. I don't think I will end up in a place of, as it could go downhill from here, and I still would say, let's see what Jason Crow brings next year.
Yeah.
And see because I think the premise has always been with Dennis Gates, get him the talent that's better than everybody else. And it's the type of talent that I think he can recruit. If you get that for him, I think any of the shortcomings in other areas could potentially be glossed over. And that could be a fun way to win. When you got a top 5 recruiting class in the country, yeah, it does buy you some time from me to be thinking kind of in the hot seat regard. But you don't want people to be apathetic and say, oh, it's no good this year, but we'll hopefully it gets better when they get that recruiting class. Like, you want to be building year over year as much as possible. And I hope that's something that Dennis Gates is kind of in tune with and can find a way to move forward with.
No doubt, though, ramps up the pressure, right? Because it
should.
If next year is the year to see what Jason Crow's got, to see what Tony Bryant's got, and bring in those guys. Aiden Crosner, we shouldn't forget him in that. He's also very highly ranked. Bring in those guys, gotta hit the transfer portal hard. It becomes crucial for that to be the case, to put the right pieces around them, because they can't do it on their own, just getting their taste of college basketball for the first time. It becomes so paramount to build a winning team that fits together around those 3 players and whoever else you might decide to keep around, and not only make the NCAA tournament next year, but give Mizzou fans what they have been asking for this whole time. They don't just want a tournament team. They want a team that has upward trajectory.
There's pressure for that next year, because if Crow is a one and done, you better accomplish something with him. I think that is absolutely realistic.
Get to some of your texts here, 573-875-KTGR. James saying, so if Bediako is deemed ineligible by a judge, does Bama have to forfeit the games he plays? I mean, probably. I will say, though, I don't think that means Mizzou gets credited with a win. I'm not sure that that's how it works.
It would not work that way. Definitively, it would not.
Yeah. Mizzou still lost the game. I don't think they're getting credit for a win all of a sudden if a judge says that Alabama was playing with a player that they weren't supposed to play. Dan saying Mizzou will beat teams who can't shoot the 3. Kentucky and Florida are in that group. I agree. There has to be a team that is in that category that either Mizzou can really expose their flaw and game plan to make sure that they can't overcome that. And then at the same time, Mizzou's got to have an excellent game from at least 3 or 4 of their guys in order for them to pull off upsets like they had a chance to do last night, but very clearly fell on their face.
Yep. And 8 for 23 from the line. I don't even know what to say anymore.
Friend of the show,
Mark Mitchell's head. I mean, it's in his head. There's no way around it at this point.
Well,
1 for 8.
That game was odd. I mean, he had been really good leading up to that game from the free throw line, so it was just another setback. Friend of the show, Drew King, had an excellent article today.
His article was brilliant. I agree with every word of it.
Every game that
every character of it.
Every game from Mizzou men's basketball, he has a post that is his stats that stood out. And usually it's very extensive. He dives into a bunch of analytics and be like, okay, this is what really stood out to me in each and every game. He does an excellent job with it. This time, it was just 8 for 23. That was a whole article. And I got to say, it was brilliantly written.
The stats stood out to me.
Yeah, it sure did. I mean, sure, in any sense of the word, there was nothing more. He is, in any stats that stood out post that he has written, that was the most true. That one very much stood out. So we'll next chance we get him on the show, we'll ask him about it. And Get your thoughts in as well on Mizzou men's basketball. Not at all getting it done last night. What does it mean, though, for the season? What % chance do you put on Mizzou right now to make the NCAA tournament? We'll tell you a little bit of what the metrics say a little later on in the show. You tell us what you think. 875-KTGR. Up next, though, Brendan and I threw out this idea yesterday. And you know what? Why not just fire it up today? Top 5, bottom 5 NFL head coaches. Even though not all jobs are filled right now, we're still going to go through who the worst and best head coaches in the NFL are today. We'll do that next here on The Big Show.
Follow The Big Show on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And keep it here on your total sports station, KTGR.
With Steve, all I have to do is call. I tell him the problem, he takes care of it. That's the way I like it. A good player that can put it in the basket.
This is Coach Norm Stewart, so you should probably listen to what he has to say about Steve's pest control.
Yeah, during my tenure as a coach, I had a lot of ball players that weren't highly recruited, and that's not to take anything away from their talent, because when they got to Missouri, they became the best. They became the best because they worked at it every day. That's what you'll find with Steve. He works at it continuously. That's what Steve does. He's going to give you his best all the time. He'll take care of the bugs, believe me. He does for me in Columbia, and he does for me at the lake.
This is Steve with Steve's Pest Control. We're going to solve your pest problems. I guarantee it.
Now you got a friend in the pest control business. Steve's Pest Control.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Hi, my name's Robin Fletcher. I've smoked for 46 years. I went to a seminar in March of 27 and seen Mark. My best friend came with me. We both went to it, and neither one of us smoked a cigarette in almost 7.5 months. I took my 3 sisters and my brother-in-law and my sister's best friend and them went. None of them have smoked a cigarette, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
My name is Jen Carpenter. I went to a Mark Patrick seminar, the Stop Smoking, and it worked. A friend of mine also went, and he still no longer smokes, and it was just amazing.
Lose weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis Guaranteed, only $59.99 or your money back. Don't just cut down, but stop smoking once and for all or your money back. Stop Smoking Hypnosis 8 p.m. on Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Columbia. Registration 30 minutes before. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Hi, we're Midway Electric. When winter hits, electrical issues can turn serious fast, at home or at your business. That's why you need a trusted local team that shows up, solves the problem, and stands behind the work. From whole home generators and security systems to everyday service and repairs, Midway Electric has you covered. And now through January, get $500 off a whole home generator installation to keep you powered up no matter the weather. Midway Electric, powered by people with pride. MidwayElectricInc.com.
Hey, Columbia, this is Coach Agnew from API. I've got a New Year's deal for you don't want to miss. If you've been thinking about getting in shape, now's the perfect time to jump in. Sign up at API before the end of January and get your first 31 days for just $31. That's right, 31 days, $31. With expert coaching, a supportive community, and all the tools you'll need to crush your fitness goals. There's never been a better time to join the API family. So come on in and let's make this year your strongest year yet. Sign up now at APIProjectFitness.com.
Tired of calling Andy and Brendan? So are their wives. Then shoot them a text right now. 573-875-KTGR and become part of the Big Show.
Rough one for Mizzou hoops last night. Text us with your % chance that Mizzou makes the NCAA tournament. 875-KTGR. Daniel's text says, can we talk about how Phillips is a 6th defender on Mark Mitchell when he drives? Clear out the lane.
Yes, we should talk about that.
Yeah, here's the thing. It is less Sean Phillips' fault and more the coaching staff's fault on that. Is my take.
Okay, how would you prescribe that though?
So where does Sean Phillips go? Do you want him to be at the top of the key? He doesn't shoot from there. Like, where's he going to go? Like, you got to put him somewhere, and the best place for him to go is at the low post. Like, that's where he goes. Like, I get it. You need Mark Mitchell to do well too.
Who are you saying? You're saying it's the coaching staff to blame. What would you do differently?
Well,
if you're the coaching staff,
well, it's also roster construction too, because Mizzou does not have enough shooters around those types of players to be able to space out the way that Mark Mitchell can operate, and then also have the lob threat of Sean Phillips on the other side of the lane. That said, like, the coaching staff can manipulate that with their sub patterns and everything of that nature. Yes, there is legwork that did not necessarily go Mizzou's way with trying to build this roster for what it is, and that's an existential problem. In the short term, there are ways to mitigate it by making sure that you at least have shooting threats when Sean Phillips and Mark Mitchell are both on the floor.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Now that you don't have the roster that can maximize him, I'm not saying there's a perfect answer, but like, the minutes he's playing, he's not helping because it's harshing the mellow of the entire offense, which is, it's tough. I don't really know what the answer is, but it isn't working. We're seeing examples of that over and over.
Yes, Billy.
I mean, you guys kind of hit the nail on the head, but I mean, the issue with this roster is your best player is a guy who needs someone bigger than him on the floor. Missouri won't be able to rebound the ball. And then you have 2 point guards, neither of which can shoot the basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, at any given time, you have to play 3 guys on the floor who are not a legitimate 3-point threat.
Yeah, and like the top, like at the start of the season, I could probably say that Mizzou's top 3 guards were going to be Anthony Robinson, Sebastian Mack, and probably T.O. Barrett. And yeah, the 3-point percentages for all those guys, 27%, 21%, 27%.
Barrett hit 2 in a row yesterday.
He did.
And it was like, whoa, this would be great if he could be this, but I don't know if that's entirely realistic.
Yeah. So look, the thing is, like, Mizzou needs Sean Phillips. Like, Mizzou is this is Dennis Gates' by far best rebounding team since he's been here. And I think a big reason why is Sean Phillips. And like, you want to keep up that type of production there. But again, there are trade-offs to that. And Mizzou so far has not been able to overcome those trade-offs with Sean Phillips on the floor and everyone else who's around him. But we'll get more Mizzou hoops takes in 875-KTGR 505. We'll discuss their percent chance of making the NCAA tournament. Let's do our bottom 5 first. Bottom 5.
Okay,
NFL
I'm going to need your help here because I got to
coaches.
be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't see, with all the guys that got fired, I don't really see a bunch of coaches that I'm ready to just bag on right now in a bottom 5 setting.
Really?
I know you're more creative than that.
Oh, come on. You got at least a few.
I got a few. I don't have 5.
I can help you out.
I do.
I'm
asking you to help. I'm asking you to help me.
Well,
out
you
a
go
little
ahead.
bit.
You start. We can.
No. I'm not going to start. That's the point. You're going to start because I don't have them.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to let you guide, and maybe I'll just pick apart your list. I got a couple that I would say are going to be on my bottom 5, but I'm looking through this list and like, I don't have a lot to really gripe about with too many of these coaches because the ones that I thought should be gone got fired more often than not.
Not all of them did.
All right, who didn't get fired that should have?
Zach Taylor didn't get
Make
fired.
this list. He's number 32. I had that one.
You got him as the worst.
Down.
All right.
I have him as the worst one. Yep.
Aaron Glenn didn't get fired.
Number 31.
There you go.
Ding, ding, ding.
All right. We're getting somewhere.
Now what?
All right. So let's look through this now. I mean, it's not as easy as just looking at the bottom of the standings for me.
Shouldn't be, but we also want to make it relevant to what's happening in the here and now. So that's a little bit tricky.
Okay. I'm going to throw out this name, Dan Quinn.
Yeah. So here's my journey with Dan Quinn. Didn't like the hire when he was hired.
Okay.
He has success obviously Jaden Daniels had the great season. They make it to the NFC Championship. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I've got to eat crow on Dan Quinn. And now it's like, well, he didn't sustain it. Had your quarterback injured a lot this year, so it's not all on him. But I was underwhelmed by Dan Quinn when they hired him, and then maybe I was right to be underwhelmed by him, which is where I wonder a little bit about the Brian Schottenheimer thing, because that's another hire I didn't like, but I also thought as the season progressed, didn't hate the coaching job that he did by any means. So I'm not really as low on him, despite, a pretty mediocre season for Dallas. I'm not necessarily trying to bag him, but I would say Dan Quinn, if I had to come up with 5, he would be one of my bottom 5. Yeah.
Okay. So Dan Quinn, maybe we don't place him in a ranking yet, but he's in the mix.
He's in there. Yeah.
He's in the mix. Let me throw out another one. Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm really okay with that. There are some things he's done in the past where I really was not a fan of his. I don't know that he stood out in a majorly negative way this year, but give me your take on him, because he's been an entrant into my bottom 5 in years past.
Well,
and go ahead.
Well, the take this year is that was an absolutely putrid division. It was tailor-made for you to win it, and you didn't.
How'd you lose it? Yeah.
Sure, you finished in a 3-way tie for first, and tiebreakers got you, but shouldn't come.
You
down
won
to
8
that.
games.
Yeah,
I mean, you were a
under
sub 500 team.
Yeah, so that's the thing about it. I'm still kind of back and forth on whether I ding Todd Bowles like a bunch for just that, though, because I think otherwise he's done a fairly decent job there. Clearly, Baker Mayfield looked a lot better, but maybe that was a product of Liam Cohen coming in, being the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Now he left and did great things in Jacksonville.
I might want to say Liam Cohen's name on this show again in another category is how highly I think of him.
Right.
But I'll never get over. And again, this is like a bad process by which to determine why a coach is bad. But I think I still hold Todd Bowles responsible for the Chris Godwin injury in a game that he just had no business still being on the field.
Oh, man.
This was not this season, but the previous season. And I always look at him and just say, you're not in control of your ship after something like that. But Bowles, actually, I'll put Bowles 30th. I will say lower than Dan Quinn even. I'm comfortable with that.
All right.
Do we hold any new coaching hires eligible for this?
I think
category?
so.
Okay.
I was going to throw one out there. Mike McCarthy.
Billy, do you have McCarthy or do you have somebody different?
No, I had somebody different. I'll let Andy go off in McCarthy for a minute.
Well, I actually was torn between two of them. It's McCarthy, which, look, it's more of, if you want to elevate him, it's based on the success that he had in Green Bay. And look, I'm not saying he didn't have success. He had excellent success in Green Bay. And if he is able to find that again with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, in his hometown, and obviously he'll be there 10 years because Steelers don't fire coaches, then great. Nothing recently screams to me that he's going to elevate that team more to what it could potentially be, with the amount of fan support you get and the franchise being so, I think, generally well run. It's a good ownership group there, and I don't think the front office has really set them back all that much. I just think the alignment there could work. It's just maybe not to the point that you're elevating them to any higher than where they already were. But here's the other name I'm going to put him in. I'm torn between Mike McCarthy and, this might sound harsh, Nick Sirianni.
Thank you.
Yep.
Was that your guy, Billy?
He was that. Yeah, that was Billy's guess.
Well, that was his own submission, I think.
Yeah, that's the name that you wanted to put out there, Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could go either way.
Yeah, man, I feel like that situation gets a lot of attention, and then by the same token, when the Eagles are winning games, we kind of gloss over it. We could look back on that one as like, man, you had a really good nucleus to be able to do some things that you fell short on consistently because they kept running it back with Sirianni, who I don't think is special in any regard. And maybe that is just the answer, which, like you said, feels a little bit strange because they do consistently have a winning record and go to the playoffs and all those things. But there was also a lot of trauma and strife in his house that he was not able to kind of hold down this year. If that's part of the conversation, then I don't think I can disagree with that.
Yeah, Billy.
I mean, the team hated each other by the end of the year.
Yeah, it was not good.
And I'd be willing to forgive it. I get the argument that you're coming off the Super Bowl, but this is twice now in 3 years. The Eagles have absolutely imploded across the last 2 months of the season. I mean, you want to go back to 2023 after they lost that Super Bowl to the Chiefs. I mean, they won one game in the last 2 months of the season after starting off 10-1 and then got run off the field by Tampa Bay in the playoffs by a Tampa Bay team that wasn't all that good. And then this year felt like the same thing. I mean, I just think there's a lot of coaches that could have done what he's done with this roster.
Tush push merchant. And yeah, the roster is really strong, and he's probably not maximizing.
Or just a coordinator merchant. Like, he's had to change out every single year. And sometimes it's because he brought in a good guy and they got a head coaching gig. But how you can't keep doing this and be living and dying by your coordinator groups every single year. What's that say about you?
What do you bring to the table on your own 2 feet? I think is absolutely fair. That's talked me into Sirianni over McCarthy, just because, McCarthy was on my list when he had the Dallas job. I will give him the opportunity, I think, to come in and see what it looks like in Pittsburgh. I think I already know it's going to be more of the same. And the fact that you pointed out, I think, Andy, earlier this week, they didn't fire Mike Tomlin. They were going to be happy to run it back with him.
Right.
And so they hired a guy that feels kind of like Mike Tomlin with that experience, with that, longevity in the previous place that he stayed. That'll be interesting to see, but I'm okay being punitive to Sirianni because that was really ugly. I mean, and I don't know all the details of how it came to be, but like with Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, these are 2 guys that were like the best of friends back in the day. And now it's like they are at the heart of some serious discord within that locker room. And that's something that as a head coach, you'd like to think you'd be able to get a handle on. And apparently it never really happened.
All right, so 5th worst would be Nick Sirianni. 4th worst is Dan Quinn. 3rd worst, Todd Bowles. 2nd worst, Aaron Glenn. And the worst, Zach Taylor.
And who'd we miss, Billy? Who's the guy that you're screaming going, this guy's got to be on the list?
I'll give a new name, Jesse Mentor.
Oh, you're out on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I get it. He's young. He's exciting. I think he's a guy who's benefited immensely from some really talented rosters going back to his time at Michigan and then again with the Chargers. And you look at the way that defense played against some of the only good offenses they played. I don't think he's been that much of a success first time as a head coach. And there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to win immediately, right? Like, I think this Mentor thing is going to implode.
It's a surprising hire, I think, for a team like that to make. I'm going to throw out a new one that, I don't know, fair or unfair, I don't think Monken stands a snowball's chance in hell in Cleveland.
Not.
He's gone in 2 years.
But that's a
Cleveland thing, but
it's a Cleveland thing.
It's also that wasn't the guy that was going to make the difference for them.
Sure.
That's going to be a nightmare. He'll be on this list by midseason next year for us because we'll see the Browns at 1-8 and we'll go, that Monken wasn't the guy.
Yeah. So and then he'll just re-up with, John Harbaugh. He'll go and coordinate the Giants and like he should have done all along. But
I think so too.
But yeah, it is fascinating that Zach Taylor was the only coach that survived this coaching carousel in the AFC North. Every other AFC North team replaced their coach except for the Bengals.
And he was definitively the worst of the group.
Yeah.
Like, I think the other coaches, all are pretty good to average coaches at worst. I mean, even Stefanski, if we were to do a ranking, and maybe we should once they finalize all the new hires, Stefanski would be near the top of my list in terms of like hires that I approve of in this head coaching carousel cycle. So that's kind of crazy. Zach Taylor, 3 months ago, you would have rated him the worst of the AFC North, and now he's the only one still standing with the job.
Good luck, Bengals fans. 875-KTGR. Give us your bottom 5 NFL head coaches here on The Big Show. We'll have our top 5 coming up at 5:25. But up next, under the bus to some Mizzou on Mizzou crime in the NBA last night. That's next.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Billy Jones. The Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. Fits around and rubber. Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Missouri loses last night 90-64 at Alabama. Crimson Tide shot 38.5%, canning 15 3-pointers on the night. Missouri was just 8 for 23 from the free throw line. Teo Barrett led the Tigers in scoring with 13. ESPN's Joe Lenardi had Missouri as the next four out entering Tuesday. Tigers now fall to 14-7 on the season and 4-4 in the SEC. They'll play Mississippi State on Saturday at 2:30. At Enterprise Center last night, the comeback that never was. Blues scored 3 goals in the third period to erase a 3-0 deficit against the Dallas Stars. But Dallas's Thomas Harley scored a goal with 1:07 to play to put the Stars in front 4-3. And that was the final as Dallas hung on to win. Blues have now lost 5 games in a row and picked up just 1 point in those 5 games. Missouri football today announcing the hiring of 4 new assistant coaches to join Eli Drinkwitz' staff. John Papuchis, Alex Atkins, Lavron Chop Harbin, and Garrett Riley. 3 of the assistant coaches on staff will also take on new roles this year. This is your Sports Center update.
High school hoops.
Switches on the crossover, Euro step inside, high off the glass and in.
At its best.
Catch it on the left wing, turns around and knocks down the 3.
KTGR is your home for the best high school basketball matchups in Columbia. Follow the Cupies, Bruins, Spartans, and Trailblazers all season long on KTGR's High School Hoops Game of the Week. See the full list of game broadcasts on KTGR.com and listen on the go with a free KTGR app. High school basketball lives here on your total sports station, KTGR.
It was 1 p.m. on a Monday when the phone rang. Brian Ware Plumbing and Restoration answered the call. It was a panicked family with a mouse problem. Well, a mouse/plumbing problem. Their toilet was more backed up than the connector at 63 and I-70. But Brian's team eventually plucked out the problem. It was a mouse, but like the computer kind, which the family then asked if they could keep afterwards. We didn't ask why. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Happy New Year, Susan. I really appreciate you picking up the bill for lunch.
I'm happy to. One of my New Year's resolutions is being better with money. So I've started using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for buying gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I earn cash back just for buying the gas I was already buying.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play and start earning cash back on everyday gas purchases. Use promo code SUPPER25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents per gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code SUPPER25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code SUPPER25, code SUPPER25. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Life has many sweet sounds, whether it's being enchanted by the coo of a baby, enthralled by the refrain of a favorite song, or even enlightened by a celebration. Hearing connects, informs, and engages us with the world. At Hearing Aid Consultants, helping people hear better is our passion. Set your hearing baseline now so you don't miss the sweet sounds of life.
Hearing Aid Consultants in Almake Repair Lab. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. HearingAidConsultants.com.
Guys like me that are born and raised in this area and are running a company here, we want to do things for the customers the right way.
Barry Rowe of True Sun Exteriors knows it's important to stay local.
Storm chasers that come into town or fly-by-night companies, they'll do things for less money than we will, but that's because they don't intend to do it correctly, and they certainly don't intend to fix it because they're going to be gone or out of business. They'll come into town and get a local phone number and a local PO address so they can say that they're local. Well, they're not local. It's extremely important, especially with roofs and windows and big projects, that you choose someone who cares about what's going on. You may pay a few $100s more for it, but it's better than saving a few $100s and then a year down the road having to redo the whole project again with someone local and just going through the headache of having to do that again and having all the issues.
The difference between a house and a home is the attention to detail. At True Sun Exteriors and Interiors, we'll turn your vision of a dream home into a reality. For more information or a free estimate, go to TrueSunExteriors.com.
TrueSunExteriors.com.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. Wishing you a happy new year. You know I've had my resolutions since November, an apple a day. I was very diligent for about a week. We all know that resolutions are hard to keep. So how about a new challenge? Eat a billiards burger a week in 2026. I do.
Boogie on down for burgers and beer. Billiards on Broadway.
An apple a day. I'm just going to make a pie.
If it's Mizzou sports, it's happening here. Now, back to the big show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on the big show.
Well, unfortunately, a scuffle at the end of the Nets and Suns game last night in the NBA. Of course, involving Michael Porter Jr., plays for the Nets, and Damari Carroll, who coaches on the Suns bench. Apparently, I didn't see the video of it, but I mean, it was described by the broadcasters in the moment that Michael Porter Jr. shoved Damari Carroll.
He did. I saw the video of
You
it
did?
on Twitter almost immediately after, and I think I retweeted it too. That happened, and I thought he was going to potentially be ejected for something like that, but I think there were just a ton of technical fouls issued.
Yeah, not great to see. It wasn't really necessarily that they were the ones that were in the middle of how it started, but everybody
I think
gets
Porter might have been.
together.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I thought I saw Porter on the outside of it, but
Okay.
Either way, former Mizzou guy versus former Mizzou guy, apparently.
I was invested at least in box score watching because at the time, Porter was tied for the DraftKings King of the Court promotion, where he had the most points, rebounds, assist combo on the night, tied with a player who had finished the night earlier. And they give out a bunch of bonus bets for that. And I know a guy who had Michael Porter, know a guy who had the other guy. And so I was like invested. I'm like, is he going to be ejected? That would be the craziest way for that to end. But he just stayed in the game and accrued no additional points. But it was definitely Mizzou on Mizzou crime that I was not anticipating.
No, I don't think anybody would have
Under the bus.
anticipated that one. And then under the bus to Bill Polian. Like, did he vote for Belichick or not?
He doesn't even know. How could we know if he doesn't
does
know?
he not know? This is just the whole, like, it's confirmation that there needs to be a change to the system, that whoever is voting on these things shouldn't get to vote for it for life. If we're really asking people after the fact who they voted for and they claim they can't remember,
Well, I
but they're
think he
like
knows.
95% sure that I did.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Like, come on. This is a total sham process. And
Under the bus.
I think it's being called out as such, which is good. It's still like, I mean, we both hate Belichick. We're fine with it, I suppose.
But if you think the Baseball Hall of Fame voting has issues with it,
Oh.
this NFL thing is crazy.
Oh, yeah. It is so screwed up.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on the big show.
Hey, never doubt Eli Drinkwitz when he gets a chance to capitalize on pushing out his program. And Mizzou Athletics tweeted out a photo of a new billboard, apparently, that you can see on some point on I-70 that showcases several players that are from the state of Missouri on Mizzou football, and particularly the St. Louis and Kansas City areas, and saying the big brand, Missouri's football team, which, hey, that is absolutely a brand that the Missouri Tigers can take on from here on out. Given
we
certain
talked about
tournaments.
that with the Chiefs thing. We talked about that would be maybe an opportunity for Missouri in the program to kind of slide into a marketing standpoint on that. And not surprising at all that Eli Drinkwitz has kind of got his finger on that pulse for sure.
So if you see that billboard, wherever it might be, just let us know where it's at. And probably don't take a picture if you're driving at the same time. Maybe,
Let the passenger do it.
Yeah. So,
or get out and climb it, and then you can like take a selfie. No, don't do that either.
No, don't do any of that. But do get excited for Mizzou football. I would have to think with how they're trying to shape up. They also announced officially. We knew from the reporting of this, but they announced the additions to their assistant coaching staff within the last hour or so. John Papuchis, the new special teams coordinator. Garrett Riley, new quarterbacks coach, which is very intriguing. New tight ends coach, new defensive line coach as well. And so we'll see how that staff is able to fill things out the rest of the way.
And I mean, I've got an announcement too related to Mizzou football. I finally remembered that I ought to pay my invoice and purchase my season tickets officially for next year. So I'm in. Did that last night because I just kind of forgot about it. And I was like, hey, better not forget about it for too long because they probably want to know if I'm coming. I'll be there, guys. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, there you go. No longer have to worry about that. Okay.
I know, and it was on your mind. I know it was.
Yeah, both you and Mizzou Athletics, they don't have to worry about
they were wondering.
Where's Brendan?
Yeah, they were. I'm sure.
Come on. Percent chance that Mizzou Hoops makes the NCAA tournament. Give us yours. 505. We'll dive into what we think on that. We'll give our top 5 NFL head coaches after filling out our bottom 5 a little earlier. And what Eric Bieniemy said at his intro press conference back with the Chiefs.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialist, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDezigns.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Lose weight or stop smoking with hypnosis, guaranteed or your money back. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late night eating binges, boredom eating, and stress eating. Also stop smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn, Columbia East in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30, stop smoking hypnosis 8 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
You're a merchant of all things that are man. Firearms, fishing, cars, food, sports. Yeah, the kind of stuff every man always needs more of. So show it off at the Mecca of Man. The 2026 Como Man Show, Saturday, March 14th at the Northeast Event Center where the Boone County Fair is held. It's the best and most fun way to show every man they need what you got. Seriously, by showing them. Bring your best stuff, show it off, and have a blast. For more info on being a vendor at the Man Show, go to ComoManShow.com.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sticklin McDonald.
And I'm Charlie Sticklin with the Sticklin & Sticklin Law Firm.
And I'm Mizzou Softball's Natalie Touche. At Sticklin & Sticklin, all we do is personal injury.
We've earned millions for our clients since 1991.
On the diamond, I trust my team. Off the diamond, I trust Sticklin & Sticklin. Don't let the insurance companies strike you out. Let Sticklin & Sticklin go to bat for you. Sticklin & Sticklin, it's a home run.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. After 12 years together, two-time NBA MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks could soon be parting ways. Several teams have made offers for Giannis, and Milwaukee's starting to listen. A warning for the Bucks going forward from ESPN's Kendrick Perkins.
The Milwaukee Bucks, you better do right by Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't want to hear about do what's best for the organization. Yeah, that's part of it. The other part is doing right by a guy that has not only hung a banner, but has built the arena. When you think about this guy, generational talent, this is why it's going to make this decision a little bit more difficult, like especially pushing to the trade deadline.
The Bucks are not in a rush to make a move ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. Among the serious suitors for Giannis, Heat, Timberwolves, Knicks, and Warriors. An 8th NFL coaching vacancy has been filled. Browns hired former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. That leaves new Giants coach John Harbaugh needing a new OC, as Monken was expected to follow him to New York if he didn't land a head coaching job. Meanwhile, no guarantee defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz is back in Cleveland after being passed over for the head coaching job.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
From Faroe, 15 to the to the house. Bush.
Back to the wall. And it's got her.
And Arrowhead.
Touchdown. Kansas City.
To your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
What's your percentage that Mizzou men's basketball will make an NCAA tournament berth after last night's disappointment, we can call it that, in Tuscaloosa as the Tigers fell big to the Tide? Yeah, Charles Bediako was there, but that's not the reason Mizzou lost. So does it change your percentage much? That'd be another angle to take. I'd be curious if people feel drastically differently today than they did before last night's game based on the disappointment of the outcome. You can let us know your thoughts on Mizzou men's hoops. We're going to talk about that coming up here in just a minute. So you can call or text us at 573-875-KTGR to weigh in. 525, we will go with our top 5 NFL head coaches as we, Andy led the charge and Billy probably provided more intel than I did when it came to the bottom 5. I just didn't want to be mean to anybody. The bad ones largely had been fired other than Zach Taylor and Aaron Glenn. Anyhow, we'll give you our top 5 coming up at 525. And we'll talk a little Chiefs as Eric Bieniemy, did he drop a hint about Travis Kelce in his intro press conference this week? We'll talk about all that coming up. But first, it's 5 o'clock.
For the top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
The cynic will say, well, you should have known all along. But, like, last night's Mizzou men's basketball game was the marker to me for sure of where their ceiling is. Like, yeah, they can upset a team like Florida and Kentucky. And, I mean, maybe you could call that Auburn now based on how both teams have looked since that game. But they kind of need their opponent to play down to their competition in order for that to be the case. Mizzou clearly didn't get that formula last night at Alabama, blown out 90-64. Alabama shot excellent from 3. Mizzou did not. And Mizzou was also putrid from the free throw line once again, 8 for 23. Like, we could legitimately say ourselves that we could be 8 for 23 from the free throw line. That just was clearly not good enough. So Mizzou are going to need to scrape and claw to get to the NCAA tournament. Of course, that was always going to be the case, but we'll see how they do against Mississippi State in the must-win game Saturday.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
And last night, Alabama's Charles Bediako was 4 of 5 from the field, 6 of 6 from the line, 14 points and 6 rebounds. It appears, though, the news today that the judge in his case against the NCAA that is a reported donor for Alabama's athletic department, he is going to recuse himself. He honored that request from the NCAA. So the judge is being reassigned, but it's the judge that ruled in the Darius Miles murder case as well. It's hard to find a judge in Tuscaloosa that isn't interconnected to the athletic department, it seems.
Number 3.
There's Jordan for 3, yes!
Mizzou football announces their assistant coaching hires. They were reported earlier through folks like Pete Thamel and Matt Zenitz, but made official now. John Papuchis is the new special teams coordinator for Mizzou. Alex Atkins, their tight ends coach. Chop Harbin, defensive line coaching. Garrett Riley, the quarterback's coach, coming over from Clemson after spending time as their OC. So we'll see how those individuals fill out their roles.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
Browns, I think, are going to give Todd Monken 1 year, if you ask me. I mean, it's a job that for sure Jim Schwartz really wanted, and it seemed he does not seem happy about not being picked for it. I think Monken's going to last a year. Browns will fire him. He'll come crawling back to John Harbaugh and try to be his offensive coordinator again. And the Browns will remain the Browns, as always.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
Jimmy Johnson. I very much agree with your takes on the Bill Belichick situation, but maybe learn how to use Twitter first.
That's The Big Show's top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. I don't know if you
hold on.
Yeah.
Is this going to be the Kaimi Fairbairn thing?
Yes!
The Texans fan has got to set the record straight.
So,
why is my kicker catching a stray?
It wasn't even that. Like it was just okay. So those who haven't seen it, Jimmy Johnson, obviously a legendary coach. He's a Hall of Famer himself, and he is very much voicing his displeasure with the process of the Pro Football Hall of Fame not selecting won Bill Belichick for the Hall of Fame this year in his first year on the ballot. And in one of the tweets that he used to voice his displeasure, it reads this, quote, "I would bet that if the Hall of Fame votes were public, very few of these bleep holes that did not vote for Bill Belichick would come forward. Already some are lying about their votes." A very sound thought, I think, from Jimmy Johnson.
I agree.
The problem is that wasn't a tweet just on its own. It was a quote tweet. And the tweet that was underneath his caption, if you will, was the video from the NFL on Kaimi Fairbairn kicking a 51-yard field goal against the Patriots to cut the lead to 5. Like, it is it's a 10-day-old tweet. It is the most random play that you could reference, and it has absolutely nothing to do, we think, of what Jimmy Johnson was talking about. And everyone is confused of like, why did you tweet that with your thoughts on Bill Belichick? It's so odd.
Yeah, it's that was bizarre. I mean, you couldn't have picked a more random tweet to quote, but that was right when you started talking about it, I said, "Oh, he's going to talk about the Fairbairn thing." That's great.
Yeah. Like, and everyone's like, wait, why is Kaimi Fairbairn catching strays? First of all, I mean, is it a stray? He made the field goal. Jimmy Johnson could have picked a video of him missing a field goal. It's not very many of those, by the way, because he didn't miss. But just very odd that was the tweet that he attached to it. And I assume that he just, wanted to fire it off in some way, shape, or form and must have hit the wrong button to start off the tweet. But that was hilarious to me.
It was pretty good.
Honestly. 875-KTGR if you want to give us a call or a text on Bill Belichick being snubbed by the Pro Football Hall of Fame, on your top 5, bottom 5 NFL head coaches, or Mizzou basketball. Give us the percent chance you would give them right now to make the NCAA tournament after last night's loss on the road to Alabama by 26 points. First of all, I think going in, Brendan, you and I both picked a loss. And so, like, winning the game or losing the game, like, losing the game was not going to hurt their chances in a vacuum. The way they lost, though, I mean, they took a hit in the metrics. So that does play into this a little bit, kind of hurt their chances. I'll say this before you give your percentage. Do you want to know what Torvik says is their percentage to make the NCAA tournament?
I do want to know the answer to that. I can't imagine it's especially high right now, being totally honest.
It's not.
Yeah.
They give them a 9.5% chance of making the big dance. 1 out of 10, basically. There's the resume if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. Shows what Mizzou's good wins and bad losses are, the net, the quad 1, 2, and 3, everything. I mean, do you think that's a right number, or do you give
because
them more or less?
Yeah, because I think it will take at least 10-8, and I don't think with the schedule ramping up the way that it's going to that I've got them pegged to do that necessarily. And even 10-8 may not be a guarantee depending on what else shakes out. So yeah, I'm having a hard time of saying I would go higher than that, because I feel I'm a pretty pessimistic fella on their ability to pull this off. But by the same token, like, if I say below 10%, it feels like that's really approaching nil. And maybe that's appropriate for where we're at.
I mean, because here's the thing. It should make sense that the metrics say that based on how Mizzou has looked in their games. Even their good wins have been kind of narrow, right? Even the Auburn game, like, they had trouble closing that one out. They eventually got what they needed to not have to sweat the final half minute. But beat Kentucky by 5, beat Florida by 2, beat Oklahoma by 1 in overtime, and then howlers of bad losses, not necessarily because of the teams they were facing, but by how much they lost by. 20-point loss to Kansas, 43-point loss to Illinois. And then last night, 26-point defeat to Alabama. That dips you a bunch. And so right now, KenPom projects them to win one game the rest of the way. It's this Saturday against Mississippi State.
Man. Yeah, that's kind of bleak. Not even South Carolina, huh?
No, they project it right now as a 2-point loss, which look like it. They can just match up every team game by game and say this one's going to win this one. But they'll also project for each individual team like, okay, we know that it won't play out that way. And so here's our projected record for your team with some margin for error of like, yeah, some of these losses might be wins and vice versa. They say the projected record for Mizzou right now is 8-10 in conference play.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, that's kind of what I think too. And where are you finding the 2 extra wins to get them to 10 to be in the real bubble conversation, I guess is the question. And that assumes that, you find a way to win the ones you're supposed to win within that, right? That's tough.
Right. Like that gives them basically every coin flip game they have left, which like, let's say they win this weekend, they get to 5-4. That means the remaining schedule, they've got to go 5-4 again to get to 10-8 and really have a shot. Maybe that might not even be enough, but we'll see. That puts them in the mix. That means you've got to upset somebody like Vanderbilt or Arkansas or Tennessee or Texas A&M in one of those games that right now the metrics do not like you in those spots.
Right.
And then again, that's assuming that you get all of the games that are considered right now coin flips across the rest of the schedule too. That would be Oklahoma. That would be at Oklahoma, I should say. Mississippi State on the road. South Carolina on the road. So games like that, Texas at home. Like that would mean you've got to get you got to get all of those now.
Yeah, and Texas at home is a different category. Like, I don't think Missouri should be favored in that game.
Well, they're not
right now.
I'm not saying they are. Like it's a coin, but they project it as a 1-point loss, so it's in the coin flip territory. You got to get it in there.
I feel better about saying you need to be able to beat the teams that aren't as good. That's like Mississippi State twice. That's South Carolina. It's Oklahoma, but Oklahoma we've seen be tough. I mean, they're tough on Arkansas last night, so to go to their place is probably not that level of achievable that I would hope it would be. And I don't see the likelihood of the wins on the schedule to be able to even be able to put it into that coin flip territory. They're 8-10 feels very appropriate for what I've thought the last couple of weeks. And I'm almost worried if I might have overshot because the way they played last night, if you have more performances like that, you can do it against lesser competition and drop some of these games that are coin flips. But like, if you're the team that's vying for the NCAA tournament, they're not coin flips. They're games that you just have to win. The way that you kind of spelled that out.
Right. Once you get to the point where you've lost some of the other opportunities, then they become a lot more crucial to get. And you maybe rue that's where you start to rue some of the chances you had against Ole Miss earlier in the year or Georgia or LSU. Like, again, last night was a likely loss. Doesn't change a bunch of the math there, but like now you're in a spot where, okay, most of the margin for error is gone, and this is a team that kind of needs some margin for error with the way that they play and how things a lot of the time just feel disjointed, especially when they're trying to run half-court offense. So,
yeah. What's your percentage? Where do you come down on this ultimately?
I mean, I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic on it and say something like 14 or 15%. But not much more. I mean, that requires to me, like getting in to me requires like Anthony Robinson emerging again. Like,
yeah, I'm not going to bet on that.
Right. Like, so it's just the fact that that's not likely means that I think Mizzou's overall propensity to build a worthy resume is going to be unlikely too. And maybe that doesn't mean that Anthony Robinson's your major scoring threat. I don't think he has to be, but even through these last few games, has he been a threat to do much else? Like there's not really a rebound. Like there's still turnovers. There's still like lack of like hesitating to shoot. Like I thought there were a couple chances like, okay, and go ahead and shoot that three. You're in a good chance to spot up and maybe let one fire. Like see if you can get into a rhythm. And they passed it up, and I don't know what it is, but it's I think a lot of Mizzou's season, unfortunately, does depend on that. And maybe that's not Anthony Robinson's fault. Maybe he's just not that player Mizzou is asking him to be, but there's no way that he can. Who knows? But that is what it comes down to, I think, for me.
Yeah, I'm not going to go as high as that. And I think where the Torvik rating has it is maybe about appropriate. Like I can sit here and say, oh, chalk up Mississippi State as 2 wins, South Carolina as a win, even on the road. That's 3. Where are they at now? They're 4
and 4.
Yeah. So that gets you to 7. I'm not really at liberty to tell you that they're going to be particularly likely to get many of the other ones.
It doesn't happen without a notable.
Like they're probably going to
upset.
lose at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're most likely to maybe be able to pick up a home win that we're not expecting, like a Vanderbilt, catch them on one of their bad days. They certainly didn't have a bad day last night against Kentucky, but that was at home for Vandy. Maybe Arkansas. Arkansas has bad days from time to time, and you do get to play them at home later in the season. But they'll be my over-under right now on conference wins would be 7.5. And so if that's really the way that I feel, I could even say over, and I could say over by 2, and you're still not a tournament team. So yeah, I'll go about 9%. I think it's about right.
We had Pete or Jason text in NIT. That's about it, and one and done. Yeah, I mean it might be good enough for NIT. We'll see if that's in their future. It's been a while since they've been in that. Look, it obviously you don't hope for that. You hope for the NCAA tournament. We'll see what happens there. But to be honest, yeah, the games they have left, it requires them to go to pull off a notable upset against a Tennessee or a Vanderbilt. And they get Arkansas twice. Maybe you split those.
They're going to do it. They're going to pull off one of those games. They're going to lose at Oklahoma or at Mississippi State or at South Carolina.
Oh, so you think it's like it's just flipped that way? Right?
Yeah, they're going to drop one that you wish they wouldn't, and they'll probably have one win the rest of the way that you go, wow, that's a really nice one. Like I'll even count Texas in that as like, oh, wow, that's a really nice one, even at home. I think Texas is pretty good. So that still gets you to land right about it at 8 and 10, though.
Yeah, because you need to go. This is the tougher half of the SEC schedule, and you need a winning record against it now. There's no
you couldn't
negotiating.
Go 4-4 on your first 8. You needed to be 5-3 at worst, and 6-2 was more plausible than I think we may realize. Like the LSU and Ole Miss games, those teams just aren't that good. They should have won one of them at least, and here they are. I think it's still the same thing we talked about in the non-conference where it was like, all right, you've got these couple of stray opportunities to build you a resume, and they didn't do it. And so now we're kind of sitting here in almost the midpoint of conference play, and you're like, well, they still didn't really do it here either. They've got some nice wins to their credit now, but they've got some losses that you got 3 quad 2 losses at this point, and that's a product of the league being lesser. But if the league's lesser, why did you have to perform lesser against some of the lesser teams in the league to establish a 1-3 record in quad 2? That ain't going to cut it. I see the writing on the wall. 9% might even be generous at this point. And yes, last night did shift my mindset, because if they lose by 8 last night and they, give it a fight and they slightly cover the spread, I would be probably more optimistic today. So maybe if that was just the worst we see from them the rest of the way, I could buy back in, but I'm kind of back to that standpoint of I think we've seen the data and there's enough of it to know they're just going to be too topsy-turvy to be able to find their footing to 10 wins.
It is going to take, again, more games than not of great shooting from the outside for key players that take a lot of the shots. It requires Mark Mitchell to have 15 plus. It requires not getting absolutely blistered in the rebounding margin, and maybe a team that misses a couple more than they usually do from the outside. That's how Mizzou has gotten their quality wins so far. So, like, it can happen. They can catch Vanderbilt on a bad day, catch Texas on a bad day. I don't see a path, though, to, like, because even then, 10-8, like, it will still be hard to mask, even with a winning record in the SEC. It's hard to mask 20-point loss to Kansas, 43-point loss to Illinois, 26-point loss to Alabama. Like, those are really legit teams. And if you're going to be deserving of being in the NCAA tournament, like, at least be in the game in the second half and not have it be an afterthought that you're on the court. Like, that's what happened in all three of those. And Mizzou needs an emphatic win against somebody that no one's expecting them to have. Like, they might, a 1-point win against Vandy or Arkansas may not be enough to offset the absolute lows that they experienced in those other games.
Even at 10-8, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I would be willing to find out. I would be willing to let that resume stack up, because of the wins that you would have to accrue to get to 10 wins in conference would give your resume a bit of a jolt to where, like, let's find out. Let's roll out let's put the chips on the table and see.
Right. I'm not saying that they'd be out of the conversation. They're absolutely in the mix if they are 10-8, but that a win in Nashville, at least one, is probably required with that as well.
That's fair. Yeah, you can't, because you're going to be playing a team probably that it's not going to be as it's not going to be a nice loss,
right,
if you're playing on that first day.
So we'll see, but give us your percent chance that Mizzou makes the NCAA tournament. James he said 20%. I mean, that's obviously more than what we were saying here and what the metrics say, but that's still that's a pessimistic chance. It's still 1 out of 5. And that's not great. You could even be a little more above what the metrics are saying, and it'd still be kind of Mizzou playing above its head, more so than what they have been showing recently to get to that point.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And, this is this like next 7 days is where you rack up 2 wins and you don't really change your upward trajectory in doing it. This is where you just have to not screw it up to kind of maintain the status quo of, all right, these are the gimmies. If there's any such thing, you got to have these 2.
Marksy texts in, says Mizzou basketball has an 18.39% chance. Ha ha! I see the reference there.
It was nice. Might be a little lofty, but yeah. I enjoyed that comment.
Says if we can get to 9 conference wins, then have a 2 or 3 game win streak in the conference tournament, then we'll be in the dance. Well, yeah, if that happens, sure. I don't think Mizzou has ever won multiple games in the SEC tournament, at least since they've joined. I can go back and look, but I don't recall a year where that has happened. The furthest they've been is the semifinals, and they needed to start at the quarterfinals with the double bye in order to get there. So, like, again, if they're playing the first weekend or they're playing the first day, that would mean at least making the semifinals. That's hard to do, especially from the starting point where they might be if they're 9-9.
Yep. Yeah, 9-9. I don't think there's anywhere to talk about with this team, but 10-8, I still think that would be enough. So it's a fair target. But like I said, these upcoming games, you got to be 6-4 to get to 10-8, or there's no conversation.
875 KTGR. What's your percent chance that Mizzou basketball makes the NCAA tournament? Up next, our top 5 NFL head coaches. Do we need to do some reworking of how it has looked maybe over the last few times that we've done this based on recent events? We'll get to that next.
This the latest edition of The Big Show. Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. That is where I go for all things tires. When I needed new tires on my 4 wheels, it was finally time. I had held out long enough. I went to Lee's Tire Company because they're the experts in mid-Missouri. They've got such a large selection. They probably have it in stock if you go and show up. And they also have a full catalog online that you can shop for tires there, find the specific one that's right for you, and get a great deal on it. They run specials each and every month to help put money back in your pocket. So look, it's wintertime. Going to be some slick roads here in our near future. So head into Lee's Tire Company if you want to change out and get snow tires, or if you want just some all-weather tires that you can use year-round, head into Lee's Tire Company. They've got a location on the Business Loop in Columbia, a larger location at University Garage by the MU campus. They're also located in Centralia. And, of course, shop online anytime at leestirecompany.com. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. leestirecompany.com.
Losing a loved one is probably the hardest punch you will ever take in the fight of life. Dealing with the fallout, finances, and how to replace that loss of income for your family is even harder. That's why Phyllis Nichols and her team are so passionate about life insurance. Phyllis Nichols is the 12-round agent who fights for your best interests and knows exactly what you need. Get your life insurance with State Farm Agency licensed Phyllis Nichols, the 12-round agent.
Welcome to every gym in January. Membership prices, crazy high. Crowds, even worse. All just to wait in line for a bench. Or, hear me out, you could build your own home gym from Play It Again Sports. Free weights, dumbbells, plates, treadmills, ellipticals, benches, racks, and more. New and used. At prices that don't feel like a crime. No crowds, no monthly fees, no awkward eye contact with Chad curling on the squat rack. Play It Again Sports. Think of them first so you don't finish last. PlayItAgainSportsColumbiaMo.com.
From elegant weddings to corporate lunches with flavor and flair, Courtyard by Marriott Columbia brings the party and the pros. It's the home of Main Event Catering. And with every event, you'll get an award-winning chef, full banquet staff, and drop-and-go options for any size crowd. And the event center holds up to 300 guests with 8 flexible rooms. If you need help, there's a Marriott certified wedding coordinator on staff too. Book now by calling 573-443-8000.
Hey, this is Lisa Stofan. Heard the Mark Patrick weight loss hypnosis hype? Well, I attended because my father stopped smoking with hypnosis. Hypnosis eliminated my desire for soda and fast food, made me want to exercise, and I lost 60 pounds in 6 months. My energy level exploded. I went to another session to deal with some other problem foods, and I lost another 10 pounds. In fact, I brought my husband, and he lost weight, and his cholesterol and blood pressure improved. My friend lost 20 pounds her first 2 months.
Oh my, what are you waiting for? Lose the weight or stop smoking with Hypnosis guaranteed only $59.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. That's right. Hypnosis Tuesday, February 3rd at the Capitol Plaza Hotel and Convention Center in Jefferson City, or Wednesday, February 4th at the Holiday Inn Columbia East in Columbia. Weight loss hypnosis 5:30. Stop smoking hypnosis 8 o'clock. Register at markpatrickseminars.com.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
So how likely is Mizzou's chances to make the NCAA tournament? What percent chance would you give them? 875-KTGR after their loss to Alabama last night. By the way, you can hear Tiger Talk tonight. As usual, 7 o'clock, Mizzou men's basketball coach Dennis Gates. That's when you can hear him live from Harpo's in downtown Columbia. Tonight, a little different for the hour before that. Usually, Mizzou women's basketball feature, but tonight instead, there'll be Mizzou gymnastics. So you'll hear from Shannon Welker and the Mizzou gymnastics team at 6 o'clock right here on KTGR for Tiger Talk. And then, of course, Dennis Gates at 7 o'clock this evening. All right, so why don't we do top 5 NFL head coaches, or bottom 5? We got through it at least. I thought we did pretty well with it.
I wanted to be fair to some of these guys, but I think we did. I think we landed on a pretty good list. McCarthy somehow feels like he should have been on there, but Dan Quinn got to be instead, and that may not be wrong either.
I'm having trouble with the top 5.
Yeah, because here's why you're going to have trouble with the top 5.
Yeah.
You're going to try to force feed Andy Reid onto the list. I'm going to tell you right here and now, I'm not putting him on the list.
Not on the list at all?
In a here now list. Let's run it back and you show me a little bit more, but he's on the hot seat of my list, which I guess means I should put him at
You should
number
put him
5.
on the list, yeah.
But I've got too many other coaches that I want to prioritize as a kudos to what they did this year.
Yeah.
Andy Reid, dumpster fire this year. So I don't really want to. I'm not like out on Andy Reid. I'm not trying to make more of this than what it is, but I'm not going to put it's a wasted spot for me because we're doing it in January. Let's do it again in September before the season starts, and he'll be on it. But I can't sit here and wax poetic about Andy Reid right now when I think there are questions.
Between now and September, like nothing. We know what Andy Reid is.
The freshness of this season is still in my mind, and I'm like, I need to
say of the moment. Then what are we doing?
Well, it's fair, perhaps, but I need to say, like, I think Liam Cohen is on the top of his game. All right, I think Mike McDonald is at the top of his game. Andy Reid is not at the top of his game, and so I am going to like Andy. Within the last year, I guarantee you, we've both done this, and we've put a John Harbaugh on our list, or we've put, you know what I mean, like,
yeah.
You will have Andy Reid, and that's fine. I'm just telling you that the fact that you have this consternation about making this list is because you are trying to force feed Andy Reid onto a list that he does not belong to.
Because I'm trying to parse out the coaches that I put ahead of Andy Reid at the moment because of how well they have done recently, but also trying to keep in mind, like, hey, they might bottom out next year. It could happen. Like, again, like, but here's the thing. Really, really trying to leave Mike Vrabel off the list. It's going to be hard.
Good luck.
I get it.
I didn't.
No, I understand. Well, here's the thing. Here's what I can maybe put against Mike Vrabel when it comes to that. Here's their schedule this year. I'm not going to, I won't read the teams, but I'll say this.
You love reading the schedule, don't you?
Week 1, fired head coach. Week 2, fired head coach. Week 3, head coach stepped down. Week 4, NFC South. Week 5, fired head coach. Week 6, NFC South. Week 7, fired head coach. Week 8, fired head coach. Week 9, fired head coach. Week 10, NFC South. Week 11, Jets. Week 12, Bengals. Week 13, fired head coach. Week 15, fired head coach. Week 16, fired head coach. Week 17, Jets. Week 18, fired head coach. That's the Patriots schedule right there.
Okay, but if I may, I don't need 2 iterations of fired head coach to describe facing the Buffalo Bills. Like, that's not fair.
I mean,
it's true, but it's also here. You know what it is? It's the argument that I don't think you like that people said with Eli Drinkwitz that, you know, he's never beaten an opponent that finished the season in the SEC with a winning record. If the Patriots don't beat the Bills once, do they have a better seed to be able to avoid the bad matchup, to be able to avoid Sean McDermott getting ousted because the Bills are in the Super Bowl? Like, it's almost like the ability to win a lot of those games fired some coaches, I think, this year for Vrabel.
I guess.
No, it's fair. I'm not going to put Vrabel
than like what
here.
A lot of these coaches were dealing with here.
It was very funny. I'm glad you did all that. I'm going to put Vrabel 5. He's on my list. I'm not going to get too carried away with it. I do want to. He should probably be coach of the year. There's a lot of other candidates that you could say maybe. I mean, Shanahan would be an argument to be made, and I'll put Kyle Shanahan higher than Vrabel on my top 5 list because his team had a bunch of injuries this year, and I feel like the San Francisco 49ers made the most of it. They got popped in the playoffs, but they just ran out of steam against another coach that I think will be on my list. But we can kind of popcorn this a little bit to form our lists to make sure that we are scrubbing the seeds a little bit.
Yeah.
Who are some coaches that you think are deserving of consideration? Maybe we do it that way and land with our list after some seed scrubbing.
All right. Well, Kyle Shanahan, I think definitely deserves to be here.
Going to be on the list.
Going to be on the list. Like, I'm not taking Andy Reid off my list. He's on my list.
I know. I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to. I knew you wouldn't.
Let's see who else. I'd say Mike McDonald.
He's on my list for sure. Yes.
For sure.
Yes. And I know that it's been a brief rise, but like the Seahawks, okay, if I may. Was last year McDonald's first year in Seattle? Yep. So this is the second year?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, quarterbacked by Geno Smith. Yep. Am I remembering this correctly?
Right.
Geno Smith goes with Pete Carroll to the Raiders and does what?
Yeah, right.
Mike McDonald had Geno Smith's Seahawks playing at a level that the Raiders thought it would be a good idea to take the quarterback and try to run it back with him. And I don't think it was a Geno Smith thing as much as it was maybe a Mike McDonald thing, because now he's doing it with Darnold at a much higher level with the way they're playing. And the defense is obviously his calling card, and that's been a elite unit. He's been able to help identify, the players that they need to go out and draft and develop to run the scheme defensively that he wants to deploy. He's on my list. I don't know that I can put him at the very tip top yet, because I'm almost assuming the sale on him winning the Super Bowl if I did. But I think he, Shanahan, and I think Vrabel will be 3 of my 5. And I really want to put Liam Cohen on there. I know that's early, but we were questioning Trevor Lawrence. Was he just actually a draft bust and he doesn't have it in him? And then you get Liam Cohen in there, and now I think we're hot to trot again for Trevor Lawrence being able to be the guy to get Jacksonville to a higher plane here. So
yeah.
Those are 4 names that I would like to include, but you're going to add Andy Reid. Who else are you saying this guy's got to be on my list if we're talking the top 5 NFL coaches?
Well, here's the thing, and this might be a product of the fact that 1/3 basically of the head coaches are new, and I can't put any of the new ones here because
you can put Mike McCarthy if you really wanted to. He's been a head coach before.
I mean,
Robert Saleh,
sure.
He's been a head coach.
I think he'll do well there. I don't think he's a top 5 head coach, but I think
want
that's
Billy's
a good
thoughts
hire.
on it.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't had Billy be able to weigh in on that, and I kind of was raving Billy the other day about the Saleh, and then the idea that if they can secure Dable as well, I think Cam Ward's going to have what he needs. What are your thoughts on your Titans?
Yeah, I mean, from a coaching perspective, I think it's good. I mean, the issue is just the roster from top to bottom is in such a putrid state right now. And the front office and the organization from top to just needs an overhaul. So if they can get that stuff fixed, maybe the division isn't all that good. Like there's potential. No offense, Andy, but I am just saying could be worse.
I mean,
the Titans have won it twice in the past 10 years, which I think tells you all you need to know.
No, I mean, there needs to be, it's philosophical for what they're trying to put together, and it just hasn't worked the last few years, which is why.
The year the Titans had the Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley year where they signed all these guys and we're like, are you really quite there to be able to do that? Now we're going to see some of that hold them back a little bit with the cap and things like that. But I do. The coaching stuff I like, and they've got their quarterback that they're going to take their shot with, and I don't think you'll be able to look back on Cam Ward's career and say he didn't have a chance. Like, I think as long as Dable doesn't take the Raiders job, like you got a quarterback guy, and you've got Saleh, who I think was resuscitated with the 49ers because he looked like a completely different guy than what everybody thought about him.
I blame Aaron Rodgers.
Coaching the Jets.
I do.
I blame Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. And ownership.
I mean, he tanked Mike Tomlin, of all people. He made Mike Tomlin say, I want to retire. No, I don't know that's a fair way to frame it. But yeah, the Rodgers in New York thing was a nightmare, and it's not like we've seen the Jets recover from it just yet with Aaron Glenn, who everybody thought would be a good first-year coach, and already looks like he's in over his head. But, okay, who else are some good coaches here that need to be considered for this top 5?
Ben Johnson?
Should be considered, should be talked about, should be scrubbed.
Right.
I would say that's in the conversation. I would also argue you could make a conversation surrounding Sean Payton, but I don't know if you're ready for that.
I don't know. If I'm
it's
ready
not like
for
he
that.
doesn't have a pedigree, you know?
Yeah, there is the argument of like, well, he's kind of riding off of what Andy Reid has been riding off of in the same conversation, but he has had a good year with
he
the
did,
team that he
and
had.
He was a 1 seed in the AFC with the quarterback that we all kind of made fun of him when he hand selected. And
kind of the same thing though. Who'd they play? Like,
no, that's fair.
Strength
It's
of
the Vrabel
victory,
thing.
378, and the strength of victory for New England was 370. Like, I get it. It's NFL football games; they're hard to win. But yeah, that's kind of what he was riding off of as well. It's hard because I don't want to put Dan Campbell here. I don't want to put Kevin O'Connell here. I don't want to put Matt LaFleur here.
Okay, I think the Campbell and O'Connell thing, to not give them at least some consideration, I think that's actually prisoner of the moment to the same level of me saying I'm dismissing Andy Reid, because they both had a supremely difficult division that they were coaching in this year. The Bears making their rise. We want to credit Ben Johnson for that. but somebody had to take a step back. It ended up being the Lions. I still think Dan Campbell does a lot of things so very well. I don't necessarily have my finger on the pulse of what went wrong for the Lions this year. They just weren't up to snuff when it came to that elite level competition that they'd play against. I don't know. That NFC North is a doozy when it comes to this.
The thing
top five
is,
thing.
like, the Detroit was excellent in like the net touchdowns category. They scored 10 more touchdowns than they gave up this year. That
They blasted the losers that they played, though.
Sure, but I mean, that might also lend to the belief of, well, when things were close, were you getting the wins that you needed in order to keep pace in that division? Like, there were several chances where the Lions let those chances go by the wayside, and like that
now
does come down to coaching sometimes, of like, can you get more of those games in your favor? Like 5-point loss to the Steelers,
lost by
like
7 at the Rams.
7
You mentioned
against
the Steelers.
the Packers, the Eagles.
They lost
Vikings.
the Eagles by 7.
Like,
they lost to the good teams, moderately close. I mean, they got popped by the Chiefs. We thought that was a nature correcting itself at the time. It turned out that maybe was an indictment of the Lions, because the Chiefs weren't the same Chiefs team this year.
So, I mean, I get it. Like, Dan Campbell's a very likable guy. I'm sure his players are well bought in. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I'm just saying he's kind of outside this list for now to me.
Based on what just happened, but I think that there's a track record of what he's built in Detroit. I mean, Detroit was kind of like the Cleveland for a little while there, and it's not
no
way
doubt
anymore.
Absolutely.
And when he took over the offensive play calling, suddenly you see Jamison Williams being utilized, and you see,
But
and
there's
that's just
also,
Dan Campbell.
But there's also the criticism of not breaking through, right? Like that one seed last year and got upset by the 6 seed, and that made the NFC Championship game the year before that, but had some things not go their way.
He's firmly in the top 10, but my thought would be, like, if you're arguing against him for top 5, but you want to give it to Ben Johnson, are you assigning?
Well, I don't know if I want to give it to Ben Johnson. I'm just throwing it out there.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, if I'm going to say with one of these guys that's a first-year success, and Liam Cohen would be similar, how do I bake in that this is all we ever have seen from them? Easily next year in a tough NFC North, Ben Johnson's Bears could go 9-8, just like the Lions did this year, and we're out on Ben Johnson. I just think, like Kevin O'Connell, I think is a great coach. That they won 9 games with 9 this year, I think maybe says more about Kevin O'Connell. I might be inclined to put O'Connell on the list above Campbell, but I don't know if either are cracking my top 5 right now. Sean McVay would be the name that I would normally defer to. I'm pissed at him from what we saw on Sunday, and so I don't really want to give it to him right now.
It's another tough one. Let's go to Sam here on the KTGR hotline. Sam, what you got?
Gents, good afternoon. How are y'all?
We're doing awesome.
So I like the Vrabel a lot up there. I like McDonald a lot up there. I do think you have to have Andy Reid up there. Just looking at body of work, I mean, the guy's one of the best to ever do it, so I would definitely put him up there. I'm so glad, Andy. I was about to call and yell really loudly to the show, which I've never done, but almost did when Ben Johnson didn't get a mention. My patience got the best of me there for a minute, but I'm back. I'm good.
Good.
So, and I think you forgot Coach of the Year Ben Johnson in front of his name. I'm just going to say that right now. So, but if you would have put Liam Cohen in and not Ben Johnson, Brendan, you and I might have been on the outs, my friend. But
I'm still thinking about it.
And I'm going to say 40% Mizzou makes the tournament. They're going to, like you said, they're going to win. They're going to win 2 or 3 games that they shouldn't. They're going to go 10-8, win a game in the SEC tournament, and be on the bubble, like probably Clay and Dayton for the first 4. I could see that happening. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm really looking forward to 26-27 because Dennis is on a every other year thing. It seems like.
I mean, it seems that way. Appreciate the call, Sam, here on the Big Show KTGR. All right. We should probably make a list.
We got to lock it in.
You make your list.
I'm having I really want Cohen to be on there, but maybe Ben Johnson's on there too. And maybe right now I will just defer to the prisoner of the moment to leave Campbell, O'Connell, and Andy Reid off my list. But I'm all about projecting the next. And I think the futures are bright for these coaches that have already arrived on the scene. I'll go Vrabel 5. I'll go Ben Johnson 4. I'll go Cohen 3. I really do believe in everything I see from Liam Cohen. I'll go Mike McDonald 2. And I'll defer to Kyle Shanahan right now as number one. I think arguably he did the best coaching job in the league this year because I think he did more with less. NFL coaches, by and large, are good now, by the way, because
there's a
lot of good ones.
There's a wide first tier.
Mm-hmm. Because I like Campbell, O'Connell, and McVay going like 6, 7, 8, and I probably left off Andy Reid 9. He wouldn't be 9th, but like I think that's 9 coaches I feel really good about in general, at least.
Mike McDonald 1, Andy Reid 2, Sean Payton 3.
There's another one.
Kyle Shanahan 4, Sean McVay 5.
Your list is better than mine because it's not prisoner of the moment, but I'm okay with what mine is. But you named 2 or 3 coaches that I wasn't even thinking of. Like, there's a good 10 to 12 really, really good coaches. Neither of us said LaFleur, and I still think he's a good coach. Like, I think the state of NFL coaching, if this crop of hires this cycle does well, I think it's in pretty good hands right now, actually.
875 KTGR, give us your top 5 NFL coaches list. That was hard. That was
very hard.
We're gonna get to Eric Bieniemy's answer to a question about, has he talked with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce since retaking the offensive coordinator job? You'll hear that answer next. You're on The Big Show.
Now, your local Sports Center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Billy Jones. The Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's round and rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. The Tide roll yesterday in Tuscaloosa as Alabama defeats Missouri 90-64. Alabama shot 48.5% from deep, knocking in 15 shots from beyond the arc. Missouri just 8 for 23 from the free throw line. Gio Barrett did lead the Tigers with 13 points. Missouri entered the night on ESPN Joe Lenardi's next 4 out. Tigers fall to 14-7 on the season and 4-4 in the SEC. They'll play Mississippi State on Saturday at 2:30 p.m. You can hear that one on KTGR. Blues lose 4-3 last night. A 3-goal rally in the third period fell short as Thomas Harley put the Stars back in front with 1:07 to play. Blues have now lost 5 in a row and picked up just 1 point from their last 10 games. Mizzou football makes it official, hiring 4 new assistant coaches today. It had previously been announced John Papuchis, Alex Atkins, Chop Harbin, and Garrett Riley all joined the staff. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, partly cloudy this evening, continuing into the night. Very cold, low of 16 degrees tomorrow. Cloudy skies, a few flurries or snow showers possible in the morning. High of 27, low of 12.
Paradise doesn't have to be far away. Sometimes it's a quiet walk through a state park. Sometimes it's your favorite takeout and a night in. At Shangri-La, we believe that cannabis belongs in those everyday moments, not as an escape, but as part of living well. That's why we offer 20% off select category every day, plus 20% off store-wide every Sunday. Thoughtful products, honest guidance, real value. Shangri-La, discover paradise. Learn more at ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. It's an ever-growing library of content that users can access from anywhere. So how can it help you grow your business? At Zimmer Communications, we'll show you the ins and outs of advertising on YouTube. 90% of people say they've learned about a new brand through YouTube, and they're twice as likely to buy something they saw advertised there. When you're ready to build your brand through advertising on YouTube, talk to Zimmer Communications. You know business, we grow business. ZimmerCommunications.com.
Okay, the limb is hanging over the driveway. I need this pruned.
Oh, call the electrician.
An electrician?
Yeah, or maybe your HVAC guy.
You've officially lost it. I need an expert in the right field.
Fine, call that lawn company. They mow and prune.
Yeah, they also scalped your yard last summer.
When it comes to trees, trust the experts who actually know trees. Ones that are trained and educated for pruning, planting, and removals done right. Call Eric at Advanced Tree Solutions, your tree's best friend. AdvancedTreeSolutionsLLC.com.
And now the doggy dedication with Kretsch's Custom Exteriors. This week's letter comes from Coco in Colombia. Coco writes, Dear Kretsch's, my human's been whizzing off his new deck nonstop. I've never seen him so happy. But while he's making salty lemon snow cones, I don't have a place to pee of my own. If I had a wood fence to whiz on, I could unleash my freedom stream from a 3-legged lean. Well, Coco, Crutch's Custom Exteriors can build you that fence to splatter your bladder. Crutch's Custom Exteriors. True beauty is on the outside.
This is the year she gets an upgraded diamond, the year that dad finally gets his retirement watch, and the year that your daughter graduates, so you give her the necklace she's always dreamed of. Family Pawn is not your traditional pawn shop, but they are your secret to saving big on stunning jewelry for every occasion. Family Pawn, where you'll find timeless treasures for a fraction of the cost. FamilyPawn.com.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
Hey Columbia, this is Coach Agnew from API. I've got a New Year's deal for you don't want to miss. If you've been thinking about getting in shape, now's the perfect time to jump in. Sign up at API before the end of January and get your first 31 days for just $31. That's right, 31 days, $31. With expert coaching, a supportive community, and all the tools you'll need to crush your fitness goals. There's never been a better time to join the API family. So come on in and let's make this year your strongest year yet. Sign up now at APIProjectFitness.com.
As we get into the heart of basketball season, 1851 Underground Tap and Grill wants to remind you, whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you want to plop down with some friends and watch some of that college conference action on TV, they've got a spot for you. Your favorite cold beer or cocktail and delicious appetizer or dinner options on the menu. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's no secret that it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got the Big Show on KTGR.
Top 5, bottom 5 NFL head coaches. You can still text them to us, 573-875-KTGR. Andy and Brendan here. Tiger Talk coming up next. But interesting to hear this. Eric Bieniemy introduced once again as Chiefs offensive coordinator. And, well, this was an interesting question and answer that people attached to a little bit. Did it hint at a Kelsey return? We're going to play it for you here with the question and the answer. Nate Taylor asked this question of Eric Bieniemy earlier today.
Have you had a chance to talk to Patrick? Have you had a chance to talk to Travis? And just what is your, I guess, initial reactions of getting back and working with them, obviously, for next season?
You know what? I've had just a small minimum conversation with both, and they all have been great. But more than anything, it's just the excitement of just reuniting. You know, it was just like when I came here, we came out here and we played them in the preseason. It was great seeing those guys, you know, because I haven't seen them in years. And so it just feels good just to sit down and have conversations with guys. And to be honest, I have not talked any football or anything. It's just the excitement of just seeing each other, asking how they're doing, and making sure everything is good moving forward. But is the excitement high? Yes. Am I fired up? Yes. Do I respect the hell out of both those guys? Yes. So I'm looking forward to getting back in the grind and chopping wood with them.
So I think important to contextualize, like, because it's being presented as a quote from Eric Bieniemy as like, oh, he brought up Travis Kelce himself, which was not the case. The reporter asked him about both Patrick and Travis, and he acknowledged that he talked with both of them and is excited in reuniting with them. Maybe the question is, like, what does them mean? How much heavy lifting is that word doing? And again, why Eric Bieniemy maybe wouldn't say something like, yeah, I've talked with Travis and I sure hope that he's with us this next year. Didn't say that. So
or he didn't say, like, well, here's my thing. Even if he knew it was up in the air or leaning toward a no for Travis Kelce returning, it's not really his news to break. So you just kind of gloss over it. You put on a face, you know what I mean? Like, if he's talked with Travis Kelce and Travis Kelce's like, yeah, it's awesome, man. Not sure what I'm doing yet, but I'll let you know. Like, you're not Eric Bieniemy you pretend, you know, it's not lying. You just say, yeah, I talked to him and I'm really excited. And you kind of keep it in vague generalities.
Right. And I'm just curious though, because I mean, the Clark Hunt said yesterday, like, yeah, we hope to have him back. And like, it maybe was an opportunity for him to gloss over it by saying something similar like that. But yeah, it's not a definitive, like, yeah, for sure he's back.
I think what he said is glossing over it. I don't think you can read into it at all.
You don't think so? Well, I'm not,
like, what do you think he would have said if, let's say, the conversation hypothetically between Kelsey and Bieniemy was that Kelsey doesn't think he's coming back? How would you, as Eric Bieniemy, handle that question any differently, even if you already thought he wasn't coming back?
Then I'd say something like, "Yeah, I've had great conversations with him. It was great to talk to him, and hopefully, whatever his decision is, we'll support him either way." That's what I would say. That would be to me glossing over.
I would lie and do what he did. Like, I'm not saying he is lying because I don't know that Kelsey told him he's not coming back. But regardless of what Kelsey said to me, I would answer it the way that he did, to just be like, I'm excited about getting back to work with those guys because he's on the team and was on the team, has been on the team. I guess he would need a
for a month. He's on the team. Like, he does need a new contract.
But he is for the moment. And it's not your job as the offensive coordinator to make that headline of like adding any way that people could read into it, which maybe people are doing anyway. But to your point, he was asked the question. It wasn't like he sought out to discuss this topic.
Yeah. So for folks saying, "Oh, for sure he's back," like, no,
I don't agree.
Stop short of that. Just curious though, because I feel like he could have shut it down a little bit more than he did. But
it's not his job to. That's where I'm thinking, like, he handled it in a very plain way, which is probably what you should do. And it's going to be Kelsey's news to share when the time comes.
Well, again, whatever that is, we'll see on the Travis Kelce front, what it means for the Chiefs next year. Thanks for joining us. Again, Tiger Talk up next. Gymnastics coach Shannon Welker at 6 o'clock. Mizzou men's hoops coach Dennis Gates at 7. We're back tomorrow at 4. He's Brendan. He's producer Billy. I'm Andy. We're on for now.